Hi parents. Okay, so we just had a really fun, packed of knowledge little session there of really focused on the phonetic alphabet, so sound and letter recognition. So now we're building from the first kind of foundation little lesson that we did. So this is number 2. So now what we added, we really focused on a word that has that sound and that letter. So there you saw, when I was going through the alphabet, what was really important, I really want to point out, is not only did I make mistakes, because I think it's very important for students to see, or children to see, that adults make mistakes too. Because that kind of makes you, as an adult, now a human. Does that kind of make sense? Because I think sometimes they see us as these perfect beings or things that are walking around, they know everything. That's how they view you, that you know everything. You can't make mistakes because you're absolutely perfect. And so when they see that you too are human, you make mistakes, I have found that that has been a game changer. A lot of students, especially the ones that might, be a little sad, maybe not as confident, they start to open up. They start relating to you of like, oh, you make mistakes too? Adults make mistakes? Oh, so it maybe is truly okay. You'll notice that I also repeated some of the words. There's some kids that can give you a bunch of different words. Let's take the A, for example. They could say ant, they could say apple, they could say, I don't know, after. Any word that starts with an A, really. And they're able to do it. So what I started to do with some of the letters, you'll notice, I stuck to the same one, right? A, apple, and I just said the same thing. But for other ones, I gave them a second word. It's, again, to model that sometimes I couldn't even think of another one. Could I? Yes, I could have. But for the child who might have just that one word, because maybe that's as much as their vocabulary could do, I also wanted to model that's okay too. So I did that as well, right? I made mistakes. I said that. I repeated myself again. I made sure I got stuck on some of them, right? Of like, ooh, I need some time. Because sometimes some of the kids will go very quick. And so the expectation for other children might be, okay, I should be able to do this quick. But no, you don't have to. Some of them are going to be tricky. Some of the vocabulary words, even in the English language, you might not find frequently enough, right? Like, how many Y words do you actually know, right? So maybe some of those words, you might be tricky. So I tried taking my time and saying, oh, I got to think about this one, because speed is not the number one thing, right? You can do it really quick. That's great. But it's all about the process. Sometimes some things might be tricky. Go slow. There's no rush, right? So that's what I really try to model with kids. So that was really important. And to focus on something, this little letter right here, this little letter. So I focused on a word that ended with that sound, x. You'll notice that there's other words, and even in a lot of the children's toys, especially the letter matching, where I got this set from, they have words that start with the letter X. Do they do the sound X? No, they don't. Like, for instance, one of the most common words that I see in children's toys, the matching toys, that gives them an example, is it starts with the letter. That is fine, right? Like xylophone. But does it start with the sound? It does not, right? Xylophone. I don't know about you, but if I'm trying to remember the sounds associated to letters, I'm going to start thinking, oh, this letter is at the beginning of that word, and that word says xylophone. So this must sound like z. That's not true. That's not true. This is the x sound. So that's why, I know it might be confusing for some of the children, but it's like this sound for most of the words that they are probably going to have as a vocabulary already for their age group is going to be at the end. Fox, fox. These are 3-letter words, right? Consonant, vowel, consonant, a little bit easier for their age group. It's probably going to be found at the end of the word fox. So when I'm teaching phonetics, I don't mind just saying, okay, I know this one's tricky. You got to remember this sound is going to be at the end. And I rather teach it to them that way, so then they can really associate the letter name to that actual correct sound. Okay. So that was that for that. Now, the little poem that I decided to share with you is one that I really, really like. And I'm going to give you some ideas of how you could change that poem. So that poem, I'm going to write it out for you, is, let's take the letter B, for example. B is your name. I've always wondered, what do you say? So now we're really focusing on the name of the letter, B. Now the second part focuses on the sound, B. B is your sound. And now you end and wrap it all that knowledge with a word. B, like in the word ball. Okay? So that's a really fun one. Now for that last part in regards to the word, focus on the word part. What I like to do is I change the lyrics a little bit. So if I go with B is your sound, B like in the word. Now in the word you could actually change it. It's really cool, and I've done this before. So you could say B like at the beginning of the word ball, B like in the middle of the word, B like in the end of the word. So now now this is for children that maybe need a little bit more challenge. So there you're focused on the child being able to say, okay, the beginning, got that, mastered that, but now the child is able to then go to the end of the word and be like, ooh, I know Bob. There's one at the end, lamb, right? And this is a little bit more complex, but some children might be ready for it. So usually children learn the sounds at the beginning, then the end, and the middle is always kind of confusing because there's a lot of different letters, but usually they can hear very well the beginning and the end, and then they start going into the middle, distinctive hearing, being able to kind of like stretch that word out. So you could change that lyric in that way. Now, if you would like, you could always switch it up. Do the sounds first, and then go with the names. So, B is your sound. I've always wondered, what is your name? B is your name. B like in the word bananas, right? You switch it up. There's so many ways to play this. One that always gets the giggle, and this will be the last one that I share with you, is to make it really, really, really silly. They love you being silly. So I'm going to take another letter. Let's do this one, letter D. And it's not so much of the lyrics as it is your voice. So to make it really fun and get lots of giggles, because that's how they learn best, is give them the option to choose how are you going to say that part. So sometimes I could say, okay, let's now sing our poem with a low voice, and you'll see how their engagement completely changes. So I would say, okay, D is your name. This is where I changed my voice and they get giggles. I've always wondered, what do you say? D is your sound. D like in the word duck. Oh my goodness, the giggles I get all the time, best feeling in the world, having them giggle, participate, and sometimes it just takes that little line, just that little line, and do it in different ways. Let them choose. I would put them all in a circle, and we would each choose kind of one letter and a way to say it. Sometimes it's like very squeaky sounds, and they would just giggle. Others would say, okay, let's do it if it's maybe during like October and it's like Halloween is coming soon. It's like, okay, let's say it like a witch. How does a witch sound like? I don't know, but let them use their creativity. And it's so funny. Some of them say, okay, let's say it like pigs. Again, I don't know how a pig would say that sound. Honestly, I would be laughing at the end of it because their creativity of how a pig would say it or an animal would say it would have me laughing. And now you're taking something that could be very like, you have to memorize this, to something really, really fun that they will ask you over and over and over again to say with something so simple as just being silly. So that's for the alphabet. That's some tricks that you could do to not only switch it up, because it could get really, just really repetitive, to make it fun and change it up a bit. So in regards to well-being, let's go back to that well-being piece. It's very important. Like I've said, it's very hard to teach a child who does not, might not be present, right? Either in their thoughts, so mentally, emotionally, feeling-wise, or physically, maybe something hurts, their tummy hurts, they're feeling sick. So yeah, I like to do check-ins with the students to see how they're feeling and if they're ready to learn, but also giving them tools of how is it that we can transform the feeling that you're feeling, which in that case then they would not be able or feeling as if they're ready to learn, to using a tool to be then able to learn. So today's focus point was me being in a not positive mood, in a spot where I was not feeling like I was ready to learn. And then with the magic of this question, or the importance of this question of what makes you happy? That's it. What makes you happy? Then would transform my emotional being or my well-being into one that I am now ready to explore and learn with them. And the really cool part is that this is a tool that they don't need anything. I don't have to hold a stuffy for me to feel good, but I do have it in my memory, and I have it with me anywhere I go. So if I'm running outside and I somehow forget my stuffy at home, this is something that I don't have to carry it with me. It's all here in my brain, right? And it really helps them. And the reason why I tell them use your senses is because sometimes when they're in like a fight or flight response, where their brain is just, or their bodies are just really intense with emotion, going through those feelings of like, okay, take a deep breath. Does it smell like anything? Okay, take a deep breath out. Let's try it one more time. Does it smell like anything? Does it remember like it smells nothing? No? Okay, take a deep breath out. Okay, not only are you introducing like a breathing technique with the visualization of smell, but you're also calming them down. So you're doing both visualization of smell as well as a breathing technique to try to calm their bodies down. Sight, you could ask them to close their eyes. Of course, it depends on the student who likes it. I tell them I like to, because I actually do. Close your eyes, try to picture it. You don't have to. Can you hear something? This also helps ground students, right? Of like, okay, focus on a sound. Even if I'm doing right now, I could focus that there's like the humming of the computer, for example, and it really helps the student be present. So not in their thoughts, but think of the things around you. Of course, this is assuming that they are not in what has kind of led to that emotion, to that maybe potential trigger. So it's now they're in like a calm area. So that use of senses is one tool that I kind of help ground them back into like in the present. So that's a little tool I use. And like I've said before, it's a tool where they don't have to remember to bring anything. They could do it wherever, whenever they need it. And I'm trying to teach them a skill that even if I'm not present, a trusted adult's not present, a friend or a sibling is not present, you could do it yourself. It's all about making them feel safe. It's all about making them feel like they're in a better place to make better choices. So that's the importance of that. Last but not least, there was also a very important phrase that I used throughout the video, which was practice makes confidence, which is what I truly believe. Sometimes it's confidence that is missing from them to be able to do a task. It's not that they know it, that they don't know it. Sometimes it's just confidence, the practice. Do you feel confident enough to be able to do it? And the usual saying is practice makes perfect. I don't like to teach, or at least emphasize, I should say. I don't like to emphasize on perfection, because I don't know about you, but I'm not perfect, and I could do it a 1,000,000,001 times. It could have been that this one, there was an external factor that I couldn't control and I didn't do it, right? So it's perfection. Sure. Okay. Some people strive for perfection. I don't. I try to strive for confidence. Can I confidently do this? Can I, it's almost like saying, can I do it in my sleep? Can I do it perfectly? No. But do I feel confident that I'm going to be able to do it? Maybe. Yeah. Okay. But through practice, because I like to focus on the progress of things, not the end result. Yes, the end result, yeah, it's usually we focus on that in, in our world of like, did you do it or did you not do it, right? No one's asking you, okay, well, how did you do it? Okay, then great. But for children, it's to focus on that little journey to be able to get there, right? I think that's very, very worth to kind of celebrate with them. Because right now they're just learning. They're just learning to be able to do that. So teaching them that mistakes are okay. They're good. They're just you practicing and trying your best. And one day you're going to be able to do it, to build that confidence to be able to do it. And the confidence then also leads to them willing to try. Which as an educator, I could tell you, it's pretty difficult when one child doesn't want to try or say or make a mistake. It's really tricky because now you don't know if they know it or not, or if they're going to learn it or not, because now you don't know. Let them try. Let them make a mistake. Celebrate it. They tried, right? They could have done it wrong, but at least they tried, right? They're showing interest in trying to get there. And really using that yet is very powerful. I can't do it yet, but that doesn't mean that since I can't do it at this moment in time, I will never do it. It's a continual process. I cannot do it yet, but I will practice to be able to do it and to build the confidence to be able to one day be able to do it, right? It's all about hope and giving them hope and giving them the tools of being able to practice them on themselves. I try to do activities where you don't need a lot of materials, really. The alphabet, they'll be able to kind of be able to see it or just start practicing the sounds, and the order, the alphabetical order as well is important. But yeah, so what I try to do in my videos is present to you, even like if you have to do a screenshot or something of the alphabet, you could just show them in that order and then you already have it there. You don't have to go get anything, and just have fun. That's all it's all about. Having fun with them. And I don't know about you, but I tend to learn every single year so much with them that they teach me. So it truly is an honor to be present in their learning environment because I learn so much from them. And I hope that I brought that to you today with some things that you could do for students that might need a little bit more of a challenge, give you tips of things that a child who might not be fully confident yet, what you could do, make mistakes, slow it down, give them time to think, challenges through, that poem that I gave you. And yeah, just have fun. And don't forget that well-being. So I hope you're doing well as well. And thank you so much for learning with me. I hope to see you soon.